It's always nice to have a world traveler on the show. Sean Farnham, who recently returned from across the pond, attending to some family matters, but now he's back on the grind with college basketball. Have you slept enough in the last 24 hours, Sean?
No, I haven't. Actually landed like at 1 a.m. And then jet lag kind of hit me. I woke up about 5 a.m. And ever since then, I've had the pleasure of watching BYU's last couple of games and getting my game prep done for the contest against the Zags. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's always great to get back to Provo. Always excited to get back to work.
Fair to say it's going to be a lit broadcast on your part tomorrow night?
As long as, my man who's in control of all of the Cougar Tales brings me over at least one, like all will be good. But if I don't get a Cougar Tail when I show up, I'll be vastly disappointed.
Hey, always great to have you in the Marriott Center. I'm sure that we can line up a Cougar Tail somewhere along the line. The game should be pretty good too. Gonzaga, different team, still awesome, still the favorite, clearly in the West Coast Conference. BYU is an eclectic group, but we're still trying to figure out who they are. So, Sean, let's start with BYU. How would you identify them as a team right now?
More defensive minded than offensive minded, which has not been what we have said in recent years. Often when I come there, I'm talking about how elite the offense is. And then my concerns that I often express is their ability to get stops and sustain stops. This team's a little bit opposite of that. They've been much more in tune with what they've had to do at the defensive end of the floor, especially as of late in the last 9 games. And that has been the reason why they've had success. I don't think this is an elite level offensive team by any stretch of the imagination. And in particular, I'm sure you'll ask me, but I have concerns with the guard play right now. Too many turnovers, not shooting the ball well enough. Williams and Robinson both shooting under 30% for the last 3 games combined. That's not going to be good enough to beat a team like Gonzaga. So they're going to have to play better. But I think the one area that is different, obviously, is defensively. They're going to be able to keep themselves in games based on their effort at that end of the floor, and I think that's going to serve them well.
Along with the guards shooting better, and certainly BYU's guards know themselves that they need to. What else goes into the formula of how to beat this specific Gonzaga team?
You can't turn it over 15 times. I mean, you turn it over, you're giving them free points. This is not the yesteryear Gonzaga teams either, though. I think we saw that over the course of last week when they got out of town with a basically buzzer-beating win at USF, and then struggled again to really find any separation against a very good Santa Clara team. And I think there's multiple reasons for that. I think one is, let's look at it from the WCC perspective overall. And I know obviously final go around for BYU here, but the conference itself is much more committed to wanting to play basketball. Like it's much more committed to feeling like they can win. And I think that shows up with the depth of this conference. Teams like LMU, a very good team. Like last year was more of an aberration, but 2 years ago LMU was pretty good. This year LMU is pretty good again. I think Pepperdine's probably the most disappointing team in the league because they have so much talent. In particular, those 3 sophomores are just sensational players, but defensively they're not bought in. But St. Mary's is elite. I mean, you started this by saying clearly Gonzaga is the favorite in the WCC, yeah. and I would argue on that point that actually St. Mary's probably feels like they're the favorite right now because Aiden Mahaney, their very talented freshman, has added a lot to a team that returned a lot. And they have a clear identity of how they want to play. And Alex Dukas has been much better this year, much more consistent. So I think St. Mary's feels like they're every bit in this discussion point of a potential WCC championship team. And then you go to teams like Santa Clara and San Francisco, who walloped ASU and really, for all intents and purposes, should have won the game against Gonzaga last Thursday night, but ended up struggling down the stretch. And losing that lead late in the game. I think Gonzaga only led for a total of 1 minute and 45 seconds in that entire game. So I think it's a much more committed conference to wanting to win. Obviously, BYU always has been a huge part of that. And realistically, 3 games away from probably being a top 25 team. I mean, you go back and you take away the Utah Valley loss, a couple of the other losses that they had. This is easily a team that has only 3 losses and are sitting there at 16-3. And I think everybody feels a lot better about where they're at. But this is a statement opportunity for them on their home floor. First sellout of the year. The Rock is going to be electric, as it always is. One of the best student sections in the entire country. So it's going to be a fight, and I'm excited for it.
Sean, I'm excited for you to see the inflatable tube guys in person that have been added to the Rock to distract free throw shooters. I didn't know.
I get distracted during the broadcast, though? What if I get distracted? Will the BYU faithful, like, at least give me that moment of distraction and understand that it is a rational distraction?
Yeah, and you can blame it on jet lag too. I got your back. You got plenty of reasons, man.
Good. I appreciate it. I might need all of them.
I'm glad you brought up the St. Mary's point because, yeah, I said clearly Gonzaga is the favorite, and I probably said that erroneously because as far as metrics go, you look at the net rankings, Ken Palm, St. Mary's is an elite basketball team in those two metrics. So how does BYU get in that conversation? Is it even possible for BYU to get in that conversation this season with what's left ahead of them?
Sure, they got to go on a run. I think that the winner of the WCC probably going to have 2 or 3 losses this year. I don't think anybody's running the table unscathed this year. I just don't think there's enough separation. And I think the grind of conference play will wear on teams. So I think it's very much so still in play. I think that, again, I would look at the 2 areas of concern I have is production from the guards as far as scoring and efficiency. It doesn't have to be elite level points, but it has to be much more efficient. You can't have 2 guards shooting 27 and 29% over 3 games. That doesn't work. And then you've got to value the basketball. So your defense is great, but if you imagine what those numbers would be if you weren't turning it over, almost 16 times per game. Like, how much better would that defense be if they're getting set and the point production over this last 9 games and 62 points per game and all the rebounding numbers are great. And okay, well, if you just limit your turnovers and they're going against forced half-court defense and you guys are set up and the help side is there, all the things that are required to play a great defense, those numbers are going to drop under 60 points per game. Well, you don't have to be elite at the offensive end of the floor if you're holding opponents under 60 points per game. And this team has the capabilities of doing that if it limits its turnovers from, say, 15 to 11. Those 4 turnovers that are live ball turnovers. It's not necessarily the turnovers that, you kick out of bounds and, goes 18 rows up in the stands. Those don't matter. The carry, the walk, the travel, those don't matter as much. I mean, there's still empty possessions for you at the offensive end of the floor, but it allows you at least to get back and set up your defense. And I think that will be very key for BYU as they continue to move forward here in West Coast Conference play.
You've already touched on the fact that BYU is a better defensive-minded team. What else do the Cougars have going for them, in your opinion?
I think Fuchs has just been great. He's just so workmanlike in everything that he does. He's not necessarily flashy in any one area. And I think, for a star not to be flashy, and he is a star, and I think people need to start, throwing that word around with him just based on his productivity, his efficiency, and what he can do on a night in and night out basis. And you look at his stature and his size and you go, well, this guy should not be able to be effective underneath. But what motivates him is in his heart. And you can see the way he plays is through his heart. And he doesn't mind if you're 6'9" or 7 feet tall. He doesn't care. Like, he's going to outwork you. He's never going to take a possession off. He's not going to take a possession for granted. And I think what happens is when you're around them, all of a sudden things start to, like, start seeing that and you're like, oh, okay, so that's how I've got to play. So I think that's been a bright spot. Obviously, Hall has been a bright spot as well. His ability to share the basketball, one of the best assist makers as a freshman in all of college basketball. And I think that bodes well, not only for now, but obviously moving forward as the transition continues for BYU. I actually think that this is a good transitional team, meaning going from the WCC to the Big 12. Because if you have any inclination that you're going to outscore opponents in the Big 12, you've lost your mind. If you're BYU fans and you're not watching the Big 12 right now, you have no idea what you're in for. And it is elite level basketball, but elite mainly because of how they are able to defend and how disruptive their teams are at that end of the floor. So if you don't compete at that level, if you don't fight at that level, you have no chance of winning. This isn't going to Pacific and LMU and Pepperdine and San Diego. We're talking Kansas, Texas Tech. I mean, it is Baylor. It is literally punch you in the face toughness that's going to be needed for this team and this program moving forward. So as you see this transition this year from a program that has historically been really good at the offensive end of the floor, and now is still just good. I mean, they're good at the offensive end of the floor, but defensively buying in, rebounding with a level of toughness that is going to be needed. I think that bodes well to lay down the foundation for the next step, because every time you move conference, and I've talked to USC, I've talked to UCLA about it as they prepare for now their move to the Big Ten, is you have to recruit different. You have to play a little bit different. You have to adjust what you've done a little bit differently, because there are certain styles and systems that may work in certain conferences, and then it doesn't travel well. And so you got to figure out how you're going to now work and operate within the landscape that you're going to be playing in. And that starts before you arrive, because if you didn't start that process, if you didn't start that buy-in, if you're Mark Pope, well, then you're going to show up and you're going to get the doors blown off you, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, and the fans are going to be upset. And now you're buried and you're trying to reestablish a new identity when it's already too late to establish that.
Fantastic insight from ESPN college basketball insider and analyst Sean Farnham. As BYU does prepare for the Big 12, and this is the swan song in the West Coast Conference, what's the realistic ceiling for this new team that is now becoming more defensive minded?
Inside the Big 12?
In the West Coast Conference, I should say, in this last year, realistic ceiling this season.
I would say a top 3 finish. A top 3 finish is very realistic for this team. Do I think they're better than St. Mary's right now? No, I don't. Do I think they're better than Gonzaga right now? No, I don't. Do I think they could win the game on Thursday? Yes. Because I don't think the margin is that big. I think the margin's very thin. So I think that top 3 finish is very realistic for BYU. I think a bid to the NCAA tournament is very realistic for BYU. And I think that there, again, we can go back to berating those same exact points that we've already talked about over and over again. But I think everybody that listens is like, okay, I get it. They have to stop turning over the ball. Guard play has to be, okay, got it. But I literally think that the margin of error is thinner for BYU. It's thinner for Gonzaga. It's a little bit larger for St. Mary's right now. And I think that those 3 teams, as it has been for a majority of the time that BYU's been in the conference, is in the discussion point. I know that for Coach Pope, the idea of winning the WCC or winning the WCC tournament would be huge. And it would be huge not only for him, but really for the program, that when it transitioned out of the Mountain West and came to the WCC, a vast majority of your fan base was like, oh, this is going to be easy. Gonzaga's run is over. Like, we're coming in and we've got like this mentality. We're going to be able to compete. We're going to be able to, and you don't have a title in any way, shape, or form.
Wild.
And I think that that's been shocking. But it wasn't shocking to me, because I knew that the WCC, in particular, St. Mary's and Gonzaga, were really strong commits to wanting to play elite level basketball, and their winning percentage over the last decade plus is both top 10 in the country. So they want to win. They have great coaches. They have good players. And so life has been a little bit more difficult for BYU than I think a lot of people expected when they made this transition. And I know it would mean the world to everybody to leave with a title and saying that they were champion of the WCC in one way or another. And I think this team does have the capabilities to do that. They've got to continue to get better. It's a long process. I think Gonzaga would tell you the same thing. As much as I talk about the guards of BYU, it's the guards of Gonzaga, which is something we haven't said in a long time. Yeah. When you look at the lineage of great guard play, whether it's Andrew Nembhard, Jalen Suggs, Nigel Williams-Goss, Kevin Pangos, like you can go down the list, Ryan Woolridge.
Josh Perkins, they're all so good.
Yeah, and that really knew what their role was and how they had to play at the point guard position. And Nolan Hickman is struggling there. Like he's struggling. He's not struggling from the standpoint of he's not a good basketball player. He's a good basketball player, but he's struggling to find his own identity and his own vision of what that point guard position looks like with him. He's not Andrew Nembhard. Stop trying to be him. He's not Jalen Suggs. So, okay, not many players are. And maybe this last game against Santa Clara, where he had 20 points, will be his breakout moment on the season and help kind of ignite this offense to that next level that we're accustomed to seeing it to. But right now, this Gonzaga team doesn't have that same kind of pop, in particular in on-ball screen situations. And a lot of their offense is actually being facilitated by Anton Watson and Drew Timme. And they're having their bigs be the facilitators of their offense to try to get other guys involved. And that changes things a little bit. Now, they're skilled enough to do it. They do it obviously at a very elite level when you see some of their quality wins that they have. But it's not the same kind of team that we've seen over the last couple of years that can just, get off the bus, and off the bus, you're like, that team's probably 15 points better than a majority of the opponents. That's not the case this year. And so that's why I think that this game is going to be a lot of fun. I think the atmosphere is going to play a role in the game. I anticipate that for the final time of this WCC venture, to see Gonzaga in that building as a conference foe, it's going to be important not only to those fans, but I think it's going to be really important to these players. And some of these players like Gideon George, who was on his recruiting trip the night the chaos happened inside the Marriott Center, which I just absolutely love that game. I still go back to that game. It's one of my favorite games that I've ever called, even though your fan base doesn't think so. It is. I promise you, I enjoyed it. I think it's going to be phenomenal, and I think we're going to have a similar type atmosphere, and we'll see if they're able to have a similar type result, because I know that would mean a lot to Coach Pope, this program, and in particular the players on this roster, to try to make a statement, because you've had a couple statement wins. Creighton, the Utah win was a good win, but a win over Gonzaga kind of draws the attention of the nation back to going, hey, what's going on in Provo? And I think more people start paying attention.
A sellout has been announced, so I concur with you.
I heard that the sellout was because I was coming, so I really appreciate everybody. You really need to do that. No. But, one of my favorite things about The Rock is I know that when I get there 2 hours before the game starts, that there will already be 5,000 students sitting in the stands. It's insane. It's fun. And so it'll be a spectacular environment.
Hey, Sean, looking forward to seeing you back in the Marriott Center. Glad things are going well for you. We look forward to what Ken Pomeroy is projecting to be a 4-point game, close, between Gonzaga and BYU. Be well, and let's talk again soon.
All right, sounds good.